So in the intro of the podcast, I was talking about how I took this past weekend off completely, went back home to Wicklow to see my dad and pretty much just break everything. But we are now a week away till gyms reopen back here in Ireland. So June 29th, the gyms are open. Some boot camps are open already, especially for outdoor stuff. But with the gyms reopening now, and I've seen a lot online about social distancing, whether it's 2 meters, more, less. Is there going to be like Perpex glasses between treadmills, all this sort of thing going on. And while it is great to be back into a gym, it's going to feel great to be right back into the gym training again. I feel like we are in trouble of losing a little bit of an aspect of the gym in terms of a community, having training partners and stuff like that. Now, I'm not complaining. This is not a rant. This is not complaining. First and foremost is getting back to the gym is safety. I mean, that's everything. That's paramount, not just in gym programs and everything else. The first thing you account for is health and safety. Everything else follows suit. So I'm not contradicting that, but at the same time, I feel like we do need to find some sort of accountability and have either training partners or some sort of community still there, because what we're doing now at home, those of us that are training at home, doing home workouts, we might be saying, oh, when we get to the weights again, we're going to improve more because this and this. And I don't really think that's the case. I think you can really improve at home. I mean, a lot of people listening to this podcast, myself included, would struggle to do a certain amount of full push-ups done correctly. I'm not talking about the different challenges you see online when people are blasting out push-ups and you can see their chests rising a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. I'm talking about if you slowed it down, hands by the chest, elbows back, right down, chest as close as you can to the ground, pause for a split second, and then fully push off, fully right to the tops of your head and your heel in line, your hips aren't dropping, and you got around 15 of them in at a nice slow pace. That, I don't care who you are, that's really going to be tough for a lot of people. So we could still progress a lot at home. And now you head back into a gym. Obviously, we're training at home at the moment by ourselves with the social distancing and everything else in effect. Or you might have a chance to train a couple of people in some sort of outdoor environment. But when we're back in the gym, are we going to go back to having that good small group training? Or are you going to go to the large gym, be further separated from people, and not be accountable for how much you're going to push yourself doing weights? I tell you what I mean by that. I remember, this is going back not 10 years, it was a good while ago. I was training with a friend out in Swords, and I was in the gym with him, and we were doing single arm rows. So I was doing single arm rows, and I picked up the 25s, and I got my set of 10 in it, and he looks at me, he goes, you're able to do a lot more than that. In my mind, I was like, no, that's pretty much near my limit. I've never done any more than 25s on the single arm row, and that goes back to when I was first in the gym, and I saw the dumbbells come up to 25s, and then we one lad who was just, he was jacked, he was so strong, he brought his own dumbbells into the gym, and I can't remember if they're 30s or 35s, and I remember looking at them going, I'll never be able for 35s, and that mental block stood with me ever since. I didn't realize until I looked back at it, I was like, he was so huge and strong in my eyes that if they were his dumbbells, there was no way I was going to be able to touch those dumbbells. So I did the 25s, and May started doing 30s and more, and he's like, try the 30s. And I did 30s, and I got a set of 10. I was like, oh, I got 10 reps on 30s. 25s felt hard. It felt like I couldn't do any more. And then I went up to 35, and it was the exact same thing. And I posted a picture of this on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. And I think I could be holding 36s or 40s or even more in my hand while doing single arm rows. And I don't say that as, oh, I'm lifting 40s and single arm rows or anything like that, because even looking at that picture, I'm like, oh, my form's a little bit off. I could be doing this a little bit better, this a little bit better. And my mindset's different now to what it was back then. But my whole point behind that is that I limited myself on how much I could lift, because of just past notions about how big weights or how heavy weights are, and the fact that I wasn't pushing myself, and the fact that I hadn't got something there beside me going, keep going. And that's my job as a coach, to do for other people. And I can see certain giveaways that they could be a little bit their hold back a little bit, that they can push themselves a little bit further. As a coach, you can see that, but when you're training yourself, it's very hard to see. It's like, oh, that feels like I'm at a 7 or 8 out of 10, and only when you push yourself more do you realize that 7 or 8 out of 10 may have been a 5 or a 6 out of 10. So there's this saying that you're the product of the 5 people you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. You're the product of the 5 people you surround yourself with the most, whatever it is. And I feel like that's the case when it comes to training as well. That even fitness and health, the mindset towards that. If you're around 5 people that are active, I'm not saying get rid of friends that aren't active or anything like that, but if you've got goals to be more active and you're hanging around with people who don't train at all, the likelihood is it's going to be even harder to work towards those goals, because they're going to question you. You're going to be like, why would you bother, wasting an hour sweating and doing this and this when you can just hang out here and drink a few beers and watch Netflix and whatever it is. And here I've got no problem with drinking a few beers and watching Netflix, or did a whole podcast a couple of weeks ago on a Netflix documentary. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there has to be a time and a place for that, and a time and place for getting active and fit and everything else. To throw it back to myself on that one again, I feel like over the last couple of weeks of this pandemic, especially doing a lot of stuff with the any given run day thing, that I'm definitely a better runner. And one of the main reasons I'm a better runner is that, especially through talking with people in the podcast, I feel like I've deja vu here as if I've talked about this already, but I'll keep going on it. That through talking with different people in the podcast and listening to them and their stories and how high they aimed, I'm like, oh, this is achievable if I just keep pushing and pushing and pushing a little bit more. And they're doing similar things that I am doing now that I feel like they were doing back then. And I'm not saying I'm going to reach their heights. I'm just saying that if I keep pushing, I can get a lot better. And my running's been a lot more consistent, with the exception of last weekend, which I just told you I took off. It's getting a lot better. I'm starting to really enjoy my running. I'm almost calling myself a runner at this stage, and that's the product of being around people that want to run, that want to push themselves a little bit further. And it's funny actually, just to wrap this whole thing up. And if you've seen my Instagram over the past week, you probably know where I'm going with this. I've touched on this topic a little bit already, but I was doing my interval runs, and it's just basically out of the house, 400 meters down the road, catch me breath for it was 2-minute breaks, and now I'm getting it down to 90 seconds. So that's my progressive overload in that. But every second one, I'll be down by the gate. I look over, I was like, my eyesight's are gone, but the horse seems to be among the cows. It's eating grass and it's laying down as if it's a cow. And I'm like, that can't be right. So I do my interval run and come back down. I'm like, feckin' is the damn horse thinks the cow. So the horse has been hanging around 4 cows so long that I'm convinced that he thinks it's the cow. He starts playing. I was driving by the other day, and I saw the cow kind of like nudge the horse with its head. The horse was back with him. Like, the poor horse thinks the cow. It's been hanging around just cows all the time. Slightly different to hanging around with people that want to be fitter and active. But when you're going back to the gym in the next week, I think you have to look at it from and for some of you listening, you may just want to go into the gym, stick on the headphones, doing your own thing and leave. And I get that. Sometimes that's me as well, that I just want to go in, do my workout and leave. But if I want to get better, I know I need to be around people that are going to push me, get a little bit more. When I'm doing my online workouts with my boot camps on Mondays and Wednesdays, there's certain exercise, certain things I don't like doing. I put myself in unfamiliar situations where I'm like, the most recent one was if you can imagine being in a bear crawl position and kicking your right leg across your body to the left side, and you pop your hips down and you switch over, you do the same on the opposite side. I've been doing those kind of exercises because I know I won't do them myself and try and improve them. At the same time, I know that if I do them without the camera on me, or certain exercises that are really difficult, I know I'll stop after 10-15 seconds or whatever it is. But if it's programmed for 30 seconds and there's people watching me on Zoom going for those 30 seconds, I know I have to keep doing it, because it's right there. It's that extra accountability of having people watch do the exercises, and you don't want to fail. And through that, you push yourselves harder. And rest periods are proper rest periods. If I was doing it on my own, I'd rest a little bit longer, because I'm just my head's in a different place at the time, or I'm listening to the music, I'm like, just wait to the start of the next song. Whereas if you're on a clock and you've got people there, when those 45-60 seconds come up, whatever it is, and it's good to go, you're good to go. So I think come June 29th and you're building those proper habits, getting back to the gym, I think something you should really consider is something with a community. And I'm not saying this to sell something, there's going to be no sales pitch at the end of this one for you guys, but find something that you're not going to go through it alone, that you're going to have that accountability of others there to help push you. And I don't even know what that's going to look like in this new norm that we're experiencing. That could be through online clubs where you keep yourself accountable. That could be just yourself constantly posting on social media. You might know a few people, but let's face it, there's a lot of crap on social media anyway. So if that's constantly putting your progress up each and every session on social media, if that helps you, that helps you. You might get the odd comment here and there, but feck it, it's helping yourself get better, and that should be a lot stronger. The will for that should be a lot stronger than a few negative people having the odd sly dig here and there. So try and find the community, the right people that are going to push you a little bit more come June 29th when the gyms are open. And I just think, just to sum it up a little bit there, with people, community, the right things, I just feel that like training should be more than physical attributes. You should get more out of it than being a little bit fitter. There's a good mental side to it as well, and a lot of gyms and people online have talked about why gyms should open sooner, because it's good for their mental health. Well, now's the time for gym owners and personal trainers, everyone else, to prove that. So when we do open, it's not about the money. Well, obviously it's about money in terms of getting paid, because we all got to get paid. That has to happen. At the same time, it's not just about people in, this is my program, this is the best program, that's it, and having them off doing their own thing. If you really feel about mental health, you have to bring people together and make people feel good while going through the exercises, not just exercises that you think are good because you like those exercises. You got to look at them and their goals as well. So that's going to be pretty much it for the podcast. I'm really excited. We got a week to go. The gyms are open, and I'm just delighted to be swamped with work myself. But yet that goal is there, because I'm not going to lie, the first 6 to 8 weeks I was actually feeling good. I was in different routines. I was feeling good. But for the last 2-3 weeks, I've been just like, I need to get back. I need to get back to normal, because it was getting a little bit much for me. I'm not going to lie, it was getting a little bit much, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And with that said, I'm about to wrap up this episode of the podcast. I hope you guys did get something out of this episode of the podcast. I didn't waffle on too long. Once again, if you have any questions at all, hit me up on Instagram at coach_Sean C. And that's all I got to say, guys. Thank you again for listening to this podcast. Hope you're ready to start the week strong. If you are listening to this on a Monday, take care. Now, that wasn't a hard video to get through now, was it? I hope you guys got some value out of the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to Coach Sean's channel, which is somewhere here. And hit that button, subscribe to Coach Sean's channel, leave a thumbs up. There should be a couple of other videos around here for you guys to check out. And that's all from me, for Coach Sean. Take care.